Hello, everybody. My name is Brandon Adams, and I am live in Fayetteville, Arkansas for a day that many of us have been looking forward to for quite some time. It is the opening kickoff for the 2020 season, and no better way to get that started than with our Kroger kickoff here outside Reynolds Razorback Stadium. We're coming up at 4 p.m. Eastern time. The Georgia Bulldogs will take on the Arkansas Razorbacks, with the Dogs about a 4-touchdown favorite over the Hogs here at the moment. We'll preview all of that with you over the course of the next couple of minutes. And obviously, the big storyline for all of this, in addition to the fact that this is a date that, as I said before, has been greeted with huge anticipation, is the weirdness of all of this. We know the coronavirus has had a major impact on all walks of life, and we knew it would have a major impact on college football as well. But I don't know that anything has quite prepared me for the experience of being in an SEC town, one that would normally be teeming with people on sidewalks in every restaurant and every hotel. And for this particular weekend, just not that kind of atmosphere really whatsoever. I have seen some Georgia fans, the ones that I've talked to thus far, have mostly been parents of Georgia players. A couple of rank and file fans have also kind of made their way here as well. But the entire experience, Georgia Athletic Director Greg McGarity at one point in time compared the atmosphere for this year's SEC games to like a typical rainy G-Day. And I think that description is actually pretty good. Now, the weather's beautiful. There's not a cloud in the sky. It is literally perfect college football weather. But in terms of the kind of crowd you're seeing milling about, I'm going to show this to you in a little bit. The kind of crowd you see milling about really is like a rainy spring game or a just a casual weekend in a town like Fayetteville on a campus like Arkansas. The entire thing is very unusual. And in fact, normally for a Kroger kickoff, when we were doing a broadcast like this, we'd be showing you the dog walk. Well, we weren't able to do that today. In fact, I want to give you a little taste of this right now as we kind of pan around here. One of the things that you'll kind of see as we kind of look around and get a look at what's going on in Fayetteville, you'll see the buses over here. These are the buses. If you look way in the distance on your screen there, this is as close as we were allowed to get to the dog walk today. We are, 50, 60 feet in the air, far removed from a full parking lot. A little earlier, the Georgia buses did arrive. Those players got out at the time, and yet the only cheers you heard, not the typical hundreds, if not thousands of Georgia fans doing that. It was a couple of parents, a couple of small kids, as I said, far enough away that it's hard to know if the Georgia players themselves even heard any of this at Reynolds Razorback Stadium. But nonetheless, that was about as close to a dog walk as we're getting here, at least for this away game in 2020. A very different scene than it normally would have been, with the entire streets lined with Georgia fans. Speaking of those streets, we'll give you a little taste of this in Fayetteville right now. A little earlier, there were a couple of Georgia fans walking around here, a couple of Georgia parents walking around here. For now, you see very little, action of anyone walking at all. Gates open for fans about an hour and a half before the game. Right now, you really see only a few small number of people who are kind of checking in. As I said before, is a beautiful day here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Obviously, there's anticipation here for the debut of new Arkansas coach Sam Pittman. There's excitement about that, but you're not going to be able to tell that from what's happening around the stadium here thus far. It is just a very different experience all the way around. There are a couple of young Georgia fans who've made their way in here today. They're here having a good time. But beyond that, not a lot going on outside the atmosphere, although the Georgia parents, many of them, have been lucky enough to be here, and they're having a good time. So that's kind of the scene in Fayetteville, what it looks like. Beautiful country if you've never been here before. The Ozark Mountains are gorgeous in the distance. It's a wonderful, wonderful town, and the kind of place that normally would be ready to go for a game like this. But on a day like today, the entire experience is just way different. So that's kind of the scene around here. I want to talk some football with you as well and give you a chance ready to do that. We'll take some of your comments, Facebook and YouTube, give you a chance to weigh in. Some of you have seen more of the other SEC games thus far than I've been able to today. Florida now up on Ole Miss at last check, 28-14. A close game, as many expected, between Auburn and Kentucky. We'll continue to follow that and give you a chance to weigh in on all of this today as Georgia gets ready to take on Arkansas at 4 p.m. Eastern time. I'll remind you, this is our Kroger kickoff. It's presented by our friends at Kroger, who are with us each and every time we do anything around Dog Nation. To start off every season, to start off every game, it's great to have them as a part of that. I want to go to Facebook first and get some comments. And as I mentioned before, when it comes to Kroger, don't forget, today is the last day to take advantage of a big candy sale they've had going on yesterday and today. Obviously, much the same way that college football is different this year. The scene around Halloween for many of you is going to be different too. I joked about this on Dog Nation Daily, presented by Kroger yesterday. I said, you may not have as many trick-or-treaters this year, but no reason why you can't certainly eat the candy for yourself. So enjoy that. What's normally $5.99 in many cases on sale for $3.49 on great savings like Snickers and Reese's, Hershey's and Mars, Butterfinger, the jumbo candy bags. So make sure you check that out. Incredible savings available for you right now with our friends at Kroger. With that said, I want to take some of your comments. We'll talk some dogs and hogs. Seen, as I said before, a few of the parents here, some of the young freshmen, obviously excited about making this trip. I've already heard some enthusiasm about that. So we'll take some comments here. PD Wheatstraw talking about some folks representing. Yeah, for the UGA fans lucky enough to be here, there will be a lot of representing going on. Jenny Markham says dogs are hungry for ham today. Yeah, I am sure that's indeed the case. They'll be looking to chomp down on some of that ham a little bit later on. Brian K. Whitehead says, put a hog on the pit for us. Yeah, I know a lot of you do like to do this, and maybe for home. I know many of you kind of doing a home gating thing this year as opposed to attend your menu on the field. And so many of you are, whether it be the pork shoulder or the ribs or the ham or the Boston butt, whatever else. A lot of you getting ready to enjoy some pork here today as Georgia gets ready to beat up on those hogs a little bit later on. Jake Perez says, is it 4 yet? Yeah, 4 o'clock can't get here soon enough for me. And I know many of you feel the same way. But if you're going to go back to March and April, where we were then, what we were saying then, what we were thinking, the fact that we've arrived at game day. And, I told some of you this week on Dog Nation Daily that I was a little superstitious, and I'm not typically that way, that when I started thinking about making my own travel plans down here, how awful would it be if I got to Arkansas and yet UGA didn't come, if the testing issues ended up being a problem. With Georgia getting on the bus, or I should say the plane yesterday, that was a real sigh of relief for me, something I really enjoyed seeing. So it was nice to have them here. Looks like we got some Arkansas cheerleaders getting ready to come by. Why don't we see if we can swing the camera around there? Let's see if we can get a shot of this as they're coming by here. The Arkansas cheerleaders, the Arkansas mascot, kind of a creepy knockoff of Spike, the basketball mascot that you may see at Georgia basketball games. So that's about as close to SEC atmosphere as we're getting. Although, see if you can get a shot of this on the lower level of that wagon. That's a real Razorback right there. Look at that thing. That's Tusk 5 right there, the real live animal mascot for Arkansas. Of course, there will be no live animal mascots inside any SEC stadium this year, but that's the real live Tusk mascot right there. Hopefully we're able to get you a shot of that. So empty street, mascot rides by, cheerleaders, like 5 people cheering. That's about what it is today. You hear the horn blowing, but that's about all you got here today on this very unusual SEC Saturday. And we'll be chronicling this for you. I think part of our job today is to give you a taste of this is not SEC football the way you've come to expect. Will there be noise inside the stadium? I would say that 20,000 folks make some noise, or they're about to get some more like 17 here in the 80,000 seat Reynolds Razorback Stadium. But it's not going to be raucous crowd. There'll be some noise pumped in. I know that Georgia's been preparing for that and planning for that. But you just saw Tusk drive by, the live animal mascot for Arkansas, and there was very little fanfare to greet him. It's just that kind of weekend here around the SEC and that kind of year there as well. Jeff Rich checking in from Snellville, Georgia. Jeff, thank you. Stephanie Kaufman asked, why are there no live animal mascots in the field this year? Normally the sideline portion that's reserved for players stretches from the 25-yard line to the 25-yard line. This year, as a way of promoting more social distancing, that player area of the field has been expanded. It's been expanded to the 15-yard line on both sides. That means that area of the sideline is now closed to players and team personnel only, which reduces the additional sideline space that's left over for non-coaches, non-players by a wide margin. And suddenly there's not room for any mascots anymore. Uga and his handlers, an example of that. One of the things you'll also see reduced as well, the number of photographers on the sidelines. For those of you that like seeing game photos after games, there will probably be a lot less of those this year, both from our outlet and other outlets to cover UGA, and just the general, photography. Normally that's a big part of the action. There will probably be fewer of those here this year. Daniel Holt says, how's that Arkansas barbecue? Yeah, Fayetteville's treated us very nicely so far. The folks here have been very hospitable. I think it's one of those things where obviously this is a game in which Georgia's favored by, around 4 touchdowns. And so therefore, I don't think Arkansas fans have shown their teeth very much this week because I don't think they, probably give themselves much of a chance to win. But their hospitality has been very nice thus far. Kevin Lee says Kentucky's getting hosed by the refs thus far. Christopher Moore says he's ready to see Zeus run wild today. Yeah, I think that's going to be a lot of fun to see. I think that's going to be terrific. Tavares Terry checking in Washington State by way of Warm Springs. Tavares, thanks for being with us today, a part of the broadcast. We really appreciate that. Anthony White says, are there going to be any fans in the stands here? Yeah, Arkansas is expecting about 17,000 fans or so. That's their capacity to maintain social distancing. Georgia itself received about 500 tickets. Most of those, if not all of those, were dispersed to players' family. Some fans have gotten in via the secondary market. Other than that, there was really no way for Georgia fans to obtain tickets for this game. So we are expecting a few hundred Georgia fans maybe. In a normal situation, there would be thousands of Georgia fans. Even for a trip like this, it's nearly a 12-hour drive from the center of Georgia, from Atlanta and the Athens area. There'd still be thousands of Georgia fans here in a normal situation. This year, of course, is anything but normal. James Leonard Brown checking in from Fort Valley, Georgia. James, great to see you. Thanks for being here. Elizabeth Holman's giving a shout out to the Dawgs. Love to see that. Jill Cobb Burke says, hope everybody plays. Yeah, I saw earlier where more than a dozen Florida players aren't eligible to play for the Gators. I'm still, frankly, processing that list. So in terms of who's here for Georgia, who makes the 70-man travel roster, and were there any coronavirus complications, we simply won't know that until it gets a little closer to game time. Let's see what else is going on here. Penn Odom representing in Little Rock. Good to have you here, Penn, on our show, and thanks for representing the Dawgs here in the natural state with us. Jake Perez also wondering about JT Daniels. Yeah, the Daniels thing, I tried to, with my eyes, see if I noticed him, getting off the bus a little earlier. Frankly, I was just so far away. It was very hard to see. But obviously, how many quarterbacks Georgia brought? Daniels healthy enough to be one of those. All of that's very important information to keep up with here today. Sherrod Roberts checking in from Dubai, from Liberty County in Midway, Georgia. Of course, Liberty County, the home of Richard LeCount. So I know that Sherrod very proud of what Richard LeCount's been able to do in a Georgia uniform here thus far. We'll get a few more Facebook comments. I'm going to try to check in on YouTube there as well. Hugh Nash checking in from Nashville. Hugh, thanks for being a part of what we're doing here. Jackie Pierce asking about who Georgia's quarterback is going to be. I would say that the conventional wisdom as of now, before game time, has it as Dwan Mathis. We'll find out if JT Daniels is cleared, if he becomes healthy enough to play here today, and if Georgia plays multiple quarterbacks. But the thought here for some time has been that Mathis would be the starter here for Georgia. Christopher Moore predicting a final of 45-10. That's a fun score to think about. Derek Waller checking in from Germany. Derek, thanks for being here and being a part of this. Tia Redmond Mounts checking in from Oklahoma City. Tia, thanks for being a part of what we're doing here. Cora Felder checking in from Montgomery, Alabama. Jay Harwell also checking in from Riceboro, down there in Liberty County in the Richard LeCount area. Good to see. Diane Cato Minor checking in from Forsyth City, which is the home of Malik Herring, who I believe is a captain here today. Nice to be able to see. Steve Harmon checking in from Ashford, Virginia. Baruckus Mills stealing a few minutes at work to watch us. Baruckus, I certainly appreciate that. You don't work too hard today. Find a way to check out this game later on this afternoon. Hope you're able to do that. Rodney White also reminding us that Kyrus Jackson representing Fort Valley and Peach County today for sure. Matt Rukavina says, I'm only 7 hours from Houston. I should come see him in his hometown. Honestly, thinking about the long drive back to Atlanta, all of a sudden the drive to Houston doesn't sound quite so bad right now. Let's see what else is going on here. Let me see if I can pull up these YouTube comments here just for a little bit. We'll kind of find out what people have going on over there too. We'll do about 5 more minutes or so, and we'll get ready to go after that. My lovely wife Gina is running the camera for me here today. I'm sure her hands are getting a little tired. Are you doing okay? Your hands getting out? So we'll see if we can do that. YouTube's a little slow to come up here for a moment. Let's see if I can get that pulled up. We'll see if we can get some YouTube comments pulled up. YouTube may not be cooperating with us too well here today. Does not look like it's going to cooperate with us. So let me go back into Facebook here in the time we have left. Whatever comments you want to mention, anything for today's game, we'll have a chance to do that. Of course, don't forget, we're live after the game for the Dog Nation post-game show. presented this year by the UGA Bookstore. And I'm very proud of the fact that Terrence Edwards is going to be with us for that. Also, special video feature today. Mike Griffith is going to check in with you at halftime for a couple of minutes today, too. So make sure you stay close enough to the Dog Nation video channels so you can see that and be part of that. Randy Sharp checking in from Savannah. Randy, appreciate you being here. Jimmy Richardson says he wishes he was here. Jimmy, we wish you were here, too. Maybe we'll make plans to all be here the next time Georgia comes through Fayetteville. Robert Reynolds reporting that Brock Vandergrift looked amazing last night. That's certainly great news to be able to hear. The future Dog looking good on a Friday night. John Bullock checking in from Albany, Georgia. John, good to have you. Jill Cobberg, yeah, it is a family event. This is actually the first time we've taken my full family to a Georgia game before. My daughter in the past has just been too young to come. My son, usually these work trips are actually really busy. This year, things are a little bit different. I'm the only one from Dog Nation who's here today because of the way in which the post-game interview process is set up. It's actually, for those who cover those post-game interviews, Mike Griffith, Connor Riley, it's actually a little easier to cover those remotely than it is in person. So it's just me here today, which kind of opened the door for them to be here. My kids are on fall break. My wife didn't have anything better to do, so we all hopped in the car and came down here. It's been a good time so far, so I appreciate that. Tavares Terry hoping to see Georgia make a statement today, and I think a lot of Georgia fans feel the same way. They'd love to see that go down. Georgia looking impressive on offense, making a big stand offensively would be a good thing to see there. Antoine Middleton says the Florida offense, he says, looking pretty good. Yeah, I didn't fall in the trap. As much as I hate the Gators and want to see Florida do bad, I didn't really fall in the trap of expecting much from Ole Miss today. I love the uniforms. Those Ole Miss uniforms are about as clean as anything I've seen in the SEC in a while. But I didn't expect much from Ole Miss today. This is just a situation where Florida against lesser opponents under Dan Mullen admittedly has been pretty good. They were 5-1 against the spread and 6 appearances as a road favorite over the course of the last couple of years. This was the kind of game that Florida's just been set up to play well in before. Not a surprise to see him playing well here today. Susan Hyde says it's a long drive. It was a long drive. We got to Memphis from Atlanta in what seemed like no time. Once you get into Arkansas, that's when the real driving begins. From the state line, which is right there at Memphis when you're coming across I-40 there, it's about 2.5 hours to Little Rock. And from there, it's another 2.5 up to like the top northwest corner of the state. So the drive is no joke, but it is a beautiful state, though. Farmland in kind of the southeast portion, heading towards the Ozark Mountains in the northwest. It's a very pretty drive for those of you that enjoy being outdoors. Robert Reynolds says Kentucky just scored. Looking forward to hopefully getting a chance to check in on that in a little bit. John Shaw checking in from Travelers Rest, South Carolina. Antoine Middleton says he's actually been pretty impressed with the Rebels offense today, so that's nice to think about. Elizabeth Holman's checking in from Israel. Wow, Elizabeth, amazing. Shalom to you as well. That's really pretty amazing. Aiden Cruz says, what do you expect from the offense today? My expectation is if it's Mathis, who we see take the lion's share of the snaps today, that he's still a quarterback working his way in on this offense. And this is for the entirety of the group, an offense that's still in the beginning of its tenure under new coordinator Todd Monken. My expectation is there will be still a lot of running the ball, some opportunities to maybe show off the athleticism that Mathis brings to the table. But for me, this is an offense that's still going to lean pretty heavily, at least today, on Zamir White and James Cook, and we'll see if they look to expand things as they move forward through the rest of the season. Jordy Lawson reporting that Auburn looking at a 2-point lead, 15-13 over Kentucky. Jay Harwell says was it all dirt roads coming here. Late last night, we were pulling into Fayetteville. That's about what it felt like for sure. Let me give my camera operators a break here for a second. I'm going to show you the scene here one more time, and we'll get ready to wrap up after that. So I mentioned this to the audience who was with us a little bit earlier. So the buses that you see over there, in fact, one of them is kind of pulling away right now. That's where the dog walk, and I use that in air quotes, took place a little earlier. We were not able to get close. The parents of the players who were normally there to give hugs and handshakes and high fives and, kisses on the cheek, they weren't able to get close as well. This was really, as expected and as promised, kind of a quarantined event here today with players very socially distant from everybody else. They'll be in their locker room, and there'll really be no intermingling at all today. Normally, I'm on the field before the game, kind of looking at things, and then on the field maybe after the game. Regular media like myself will not be doing that today. You'll get a little bit of a shot over here at kind of what's going on as folks are getting ready inside the stadium. But stadium personnel will be separated. Press box, it's going to be a little bit like an airplane, where once you're in the press box, you are not to be let out. It'll be a sealed atmosphere. No movement in the stands. That entire experience will be very, very different. I'll go over here and give you a little bit of a scene. You see the Razorback and some cheerleader folks over here. They're kind of having a good time and doing some stuff. But other than that, not a ton going on outside. Very empty streets, very little atmosphere walking around on what is a beautiful day in Fayetteville, perfect for football, but unlike any SEC game we've probably ever seen before with all of this. So our Kroger pregame coverage is going to continue. We'll be in the forum at forum.dognation.com throughout the day here today, getting you up to date on everything that's going to go on. As I promised before, I'll see you after the game for the Dog Nation postgame show presented by the UGA Bookstore. It's going to be an incredible day of coverage here at dognation.com. Hope you'll check that out, including former Georgia wide receiver Terrence Edwards, a part of that here with us. So quick reminder of everything that's going on. Forum.dognation.com, photos and reaction for what's happening here in Fayetteville. Dognation.com for all the up-to-minute stories. After the game, video channels for the Dog Nation postgame show presented by the UGA Bookstore. Check out our buddy Mike Griffith at halftime with you for a couple of minutes here today. And a whole lot of fun for our friends as we're all throughout the day here in Fayetteville watching everything that's going on. As we get ready to say goodbye, let me also give a big shout out to my friends at Kroger as well for bringing the Kroger kickoff to us once again here live from Fayetteville, Arkansas. And if you're getting ready for some football watching, a home gaining experience today, really the best way to do that is with all those great savings on food and beverages and everything you need, all your game day essentials right there at Kroger. So check them out, get stocked up, settle in 4 p.m. Eastern time for Georgia and Arkansas. Thanks for letting me preview with you right now as part of our Kroger kickoff. Enjoy the game. I'll see you right after for our Dog Nation postgame show with former Georgia wide receiver Terrence Edwards. We'll talk to you soon, everybody.